Mr. Mardy Fish.
Good to see you back, Marty.
Thank you.
A lot of us were, have to remember, it was a couple years ago that match with Federer. It didn't happen because of heart palpitations, and we didn't hear from you for a while. Was it physical? Were there other? What were the issues, and what got you back here?
It was, I don't know, I guess physical it was, I had trouble with anxiety disorder, for the past 3 years, since probably today, the 3 years to the day, to the week, whatever. So that's why I haven't been back.
Art?
Marty, I read the pieces on you, and I know you're trying to help other people besides yourself. I just wonder, did you talk to Zach Ronicky or any of these other athletes who had anxiety problems?
Yeah.
What did they tell you?
I haven't. I think he has something a little different, social anxiety disorder. There's not very many that have sort of let it be known that they're having problems. That was one of the reasons why, like, first it helps me to talk about it. It helps me personally to be open and talk about it, first and foremost. And then secondly, just because when I was going through the whole process, I'm a huge sports fan, so whenever I was going through the whole process, it was sort of looking for a role model or someone that had, that had beaten it or that had had success with it and was able to come back and be successful or just come back and play again. And I couldn't really find that person that was sort of out there and, in front of it. So that's another reason.
Brian.
What kind of personal accomplishment was it for you just to get back out there
Yeah.
today? And can you compare the feeling early on in this match and warming up for it versus what you were dealing with the last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for me right now because I realize this is my last event, but I've got so many different sort of emotions going through that don't have anything to do with that, and that part's a little tricky to, I want to sort of embrace the whole thing and taking a lot of advice from Andy and James and a bunch of guys who have stopped, and what their feelings were, and it's just a little different for me because of my history here 3 years ago and just my history in the past 3 years. So I want to sort of take in everything and enjoy all aspects of this tournament because it is so great. But sometimes it's hard. I mean, I haven't played for 3 hours very long or very often since I've been back here. I guess 2012. I mean, I haven't hit tennis balls for 3 hours in practice at all. So I mean, I'm naturally a bit. You look at the clock and you're a bit worried that can I last this long? And that just sort of spirals and snowballs into the other issues that I have to deal with.
So, Marty, so how much anxiety was there in that first set? Started the match, and lost the breaker, but came back. What were you feeling then? And then you just talked to kind of preface now, like how concerned about the recovery, and then also the emotion of.
How many questions, though? 4 questions right now?
Andy went through this, but he announced he was retiring, and he kept winning and winning, like that.
Yeah.
Did like kind of preparing, it might be the last match.
Yeah.
Emotionally, and it's going on, and it's not.
Well, just how much tennis. I'll answer your 5th question first. Just how much tennis I've had in the past, which is not much. No matches for granted. I mean, I certainly don't expect myself to make a run like Andy did, to the 4th round or quarterfinal, whatever. And so I took it as this was my last match until I won, and then the next one will be maybe my last match. In the first set, I knew it was going to be hot. I knew it was going to be humid. Those are conditions that I used to absolutely love. I would have just drawn up a day like this, just with more sun, 3-4 years ago. But what I've had to deal with, and I was super anxious about that, about the weather, and about how that was going to be, and how I was going to deal with that. And coming out, I broke serve first game, and then lost serve at 5-all, and I figured, if I lost this set, it's going to be in for a really long day that maybe I can't push myself through. And I got through it, and I knew that I was playing fine. It was just a matter of getting going. Was my body going to hold up? Was I going to hold up? So there's a lot of things that most players out here don't have to deal with, that I have to deal with those circumstances.
Marty, having given a lot of thought to this being your final tournament on the court at least, what would you want your legacy to be, both as a player and as a role model that you said really never existed with you?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't think about that to answer. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, the mental health stuff. I just hope to help people. I mean, like I said, it helps me talk about it, and if it helps me talk about it, maybe it helps other people talk about it. I've heard from lots of people throughout the past couple years that are thankful that I'm doing it or am out front with it. And tennis-wise, I don't know. I mean, that's not really up to me, and I guess for other people to decide where I stand in our generation, and so I'll let you guys do that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and that's why you want this to be your last one. That's the memory that I want to last. So yeah, I mean, it felt great. Just apart from if it would have been straight sets instead of 4 sets, it would have helped a lot. Would have helped a lot tonight and tomorrow and on to Wednesday for sure.
Hey Marty, first of all, great to see you.
You too.
People say that pressure or stress is a pandemic in our society. First question is, could you just talk about what is anxiety disorder? And secondly, share with us, if you wish, what it's like in the middle of the night as you're a world-class athlete and yet your heart's pounding and it's racing. What's going on?
Well, anxiety disorder is where your mind takes over and usually goes into the future and sort of predicts what you think is going to happen, and usually it's bad stuff. I had a couple traumatic experiences to help that along and to sort of snowball that into some bad thoughts. And here in 2012 and against Simone, and in Miami 2012, where I went to the hospital. So that's how that developed, and that's how that sort of snowballs. And then the other question is it's not a great feeling. We deal with, I deal when I practice, or when I used to practice with a heart rate monitor on, so I knew how fast I could get my heart rate down, training wise, how high I could go and then how low I could go. So when you're in that situation and you can't control it, so we're used to trying to control our heart rate as best we can, and so we can do it point after point. And when you can't control it, it's pretty tough.
Did any of your incredible experiences, like in Colombia, silver medal tournaments, did that help you? Could you draw on that at all?
Not really, and to be honest, I sort of look back on something like that. I look back on Colombia, for instance, and playing 3 matches in, over 11 hours and in 3 days, and just thinking, man, that's a long ways away from where I am now.
Today, were you thinking at all about 2012 and what happened at this tournament, and then in a more general sense, what was sort of your mental state as you took the court? Were you nervous or
Yeah.
anxious at all?
No, I was okay starting. Again, I knew that the weather would sort of dictate a lot of my thoughts, and how the match went, obviously, and knowing if I could get it over, knowing that it was a fairly good draw, and that if I could get it over with, relatively quickly, that'd be a good thing. And then losing that first set, obviously, I spent a lot of time on the court today telling myself that I'm going to be okay, that everything's going to be okay, you're going to be fine. A lot of sort of internal talk, and that comes from just learning from every experience and episode that I've had, the struggle that I've had to, and what I've worked so hard to get myself to 3 years ago. That would have been really tough. And I've come a long way and worked really hard with it. I don't take it for granted. And I'm glad I got through it.
You're not taking any type of medications for this, or is this something you work through on your own?
Yeah, take medication.
One in the back.
Marty, do you think, you were having, when this episode occurred in 2012, you're at the pinnacle of your career, really. Do you think ever, why did it strike you then as opposed to maybe in your earlier days when you weren't playing as well?
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's unfortunate that that it happened when it happened, but what happened to me was expectations changed. All of a sudden, it wasn't quite good enough to make the fourth round of a Grand Slam when, my whole life before that, it was an incredible achievement and something that I'd only done a couple times. And, there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself, a lot of hard work that I put on myself where, man, this is supposed to happen because I've worked so hard for it. And so it's no secret that that's why I'm not surprised that it happened then. I mean, travel was really tough for me in the beginning of 2012. I had a long 2011 where I finished on Thanksgiving, and a lot of factors that sort of come together.
Marty, you retired the last couple of years with no real shame, an accomplished player, but you're back just really for this one hurrah this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think about retiring, and why didn't you?
Well, I kind of thought I was. I started playing a different sport. I always, there's a reason why I didn't retire, because I figured deep down I wanted, to go out on my own terms. So, that's a huge part of it, and a huge part of it is just coming back here, enjoying the experience of this tournament one last time, and sort of conquering what happened and where it was all sort of pulled away from me 3 years ago.
Marty, you've been very open about the troubles you faced over the past few years, and it sounds like you said that talking about it's helped as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a sense that more athletes intensively onto a sort of dealing with similar issues who might benefit from talking about it? Would you encourage it, or is it?
I mean, that's what helps me. Absolutely. There's tons of people, I'm sure. I mean, there's millions, tens of millions of Americans that deal with it on a daily basis. There's a ton of guys in the locker room, I'm sure, that have trouble with it, from whatever level it is, I've spoken to some male and female players about it privately, and maybe they're just not comfortable, right here with cameras on them talking about it. But I'm to the point now where, yes, it helped me, and it helps me to talk about it, and it used to help me a ton to talk about it. And now I've gotten to the point where I want to share my story so I can help.
Mardy, can I ask how close you are in your life to ordinary days and uninterpreted moments?
Sit. I didn't catch it.
Sorry.
It's not you. It's your accent. I'm sorry.
I'm just asking, how close are you in your day-to-day life
Yeah.
to ordinary days and uninterpreted moments?
Yeah. That's a tough accent to deal with.
I think he's daily.
I'm fair. No, I got it. I just, I'm fairly close. I mean, it's still a constant, it's still a constant battle, day to day sort of stuff. I think about it constantly. I work on the mental health side constantly, and this tournament is where it all came crashing down, and where I have my worst feelings of my whole life, really, was here. And that's a tough thing at my favorite tournament. And so I sort of desperately wanted to come back and change that narrative. And I feel really good. And to answer your question, I've come, a really long way. It's still a constant battle, but my life is back again, and I can do normal things again.
Let's just do two more, Lloyd.
Robbie Ginepri just retired.
Yeah.
You've been in touch with him. Seems like one of our old American heroes, aren't with?
Yeah, Robbie had a great career. He hasn't played too much recently, and obviously neither have I. So I haven't seen him all that much. We do keep in touch from time to time. He was a good friend for a long time out here. So I was. It's nice to hear that he's come at peace with it and come to a sort of a conclusion. And this was his best tournament in 2005, where he almost made the final. And so yeah, it's a bummer, but next generation is upon us now, and we're almost all gone.
All right, two more, Bill.
Marty, if I could ask you to share, what was the feeling during the CMO match? Was it feeling doom? Was it feeling pressure?
I think it was just the pressure of expectation, the pressure of the moment, and a lot of it had to do with the situation as well, that specific situation of how late the match was. I was feeling so terribly at that time, and not really aware of what was necessarily going on. I hadn't seen, I hadn't sought help at that point, and knew something was weird and off, and so that was a really tough time as well, and it being really late at night, and a lot of small things happened to where it, next thing I know, I was off the court and in the doctor's office with a EKG unit stuck to me, and tough time.
That's one in the back.
Do you think what you've been through might give you any particular perspective when you turn to coaching? And are there any young
Am I turning to coaching? Okay.
Are there any young Americans that you'd like to work with, if that happens?
I'd love to help out. Yeah, I mean, I am going to help out this off season with some of the guys in LA, some of the Americans. I think I have I think I sort of have a unique perspective where I sort of know what the bottom feels like, and kind of know what, not number one in the world, but the top 10 in the world feels like, and how you can try to get everything out of yourself. Specifically, there's a ton of great young Americans coming up. This is going to be a really good time in the next few years to see them grow, and I'd love to help, and I'm going to help and share as much as I can with them.
Thanks a lot, Marty.
Marty,